Hey there, I didn't turn on all the lights. There we go. So, not a normal time for me to stream. However, I got to a spot where I wanted to go ahead and try to get some work done. And it's slightly more interesting than all the masking and painting I've been doing. So I decided to just go ahead and stream for a little bit this afternoon. I don't have a ton of time. But I have all of these parts done, and there's more off camera sitting around here on my desk that you can't see. And they need panel lining now. So I'm just using black, which I had been using for the rest of this kit, so I'm not going to change that. And lately I've actually been using one of these like calligraphy pens rather than the brush that comes in the bottle. I'm gonna go grab a paper towel real quick though, because I might make a mess. Actually, let's just get the whole roll. Just in case. Yeah, so I'm hoping if I get this panel lining done on these parts today, maybe during my normal stream time tomorrow morning, I can do some decals, some water slide decals on these parts. I think I'm actually going to assemble them first and put the decals on once they're sort of at least partially or mostly assembled. Just because that'll make it easier to decide on the placement of things. I haven't been following the instructions exactly for decals. I've been trying to do something that works with my panel lines and things that I've added, which isn't always what's in the instructions. So let's see if I can get this on camera. This is kind of a dark piece, but the nice thing about using one of these kind of pens is it gives you more precision to get into the gap there. Of course, if I could hold the part still, that'd be awesome. And you can just let it sit there as the ink or paint flows out. And then you have very little to clean up. So there's a couple of little spots over here, and one down there, and one in the middle that will disappear somewhat as it dries. But then I'll definitely come back and clean that up after I'm done. So the rest of these, rather than holding them in my hand, I will probably just leave them sitting here on the table. Now would probably be a good time for me to have re-enabled the zoom on my camera, but I have not done that yet. So this new setup does not yet allow me to zoom this camera that's above the desk. Whoa, that was a little more paint than I wanted there. That's all right. That'll be easy to clean up as well. But I'm trying to be careful when I dip this in the bottle to only get the very tip of it covered in paint. This one, in this vent here, I'm actually going to try to hit all of these little pockets so that they will be filled with black. Yeah, that looks like it'll work well, and it'll clean up well also, so that's cool. Sometimes you'll find if you're using one of these style pens that it doesn't seem like the paint wants to flow, and then if you spin it, that will usually solve the problem. All right, these vents, wasn't sure what I was going to do with these as far as this goes, but I'm going to just hit this edge with quite a lot of paint on the pen and see how that goes. Yeah, that's going to work pretty well. Typically, I find that if I'm working with a fairly significant number of parts, so like this isn't a huge number of parts, I'm looking around, it looks like maybe, I don't know, 20 or so parts, maybe a few more than that. If I take my time, as I normally do here, by the time I get finished with the last one, the first one is mostly dry enough that I can go ahead and start to clean it up. So that's the plan here today as well, is to, I sort of keep track of which ones I've done in what order, kind of left to right across my desk, and so that when we finish with the last one, I can cycle back around to the first ones and start cleaning them up. This one is just that one line there. Now this I'm going to be careful, actually, rather than setting it down. I'm going to grab a clip for this one, because if I lay it down on its side on the desk, one side or the other is going to touch the desk. So I have a whatever you call this, it's actually a scratching toy for cats. But I use it to hold alligator clips on sticks, and so that's over there. Now this one has no lines, but I pulled it out as needing detailing because it's got a lot of little detail here on these mechanical sections, these two sort of piston sections. And I will probably paint some of this detail with enamel paints and then clean it up. Which is why I pulled that out. I'm going to do the same thing with the little inset sections. Don't know if you can see that or not. Right here inside of these circles. So I'm not going to do those with this panel line fluid. Instead, I'm going to paint those with a brush and some enamel paints. However, for some of these larger recessed details like this, I'm just going to go ahead and fill these two with a ton of paint here. We'll let that dry and clean it up, and it'll be fine. And then I will slightly more carefully get the lines around the outsides of these circles. Actually, that one right there as well. And that flowed all the way around, so that's good. Next, so this pile of parts that is partly visible. Oh, hey. So there's no delay on chat? Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, maybe I should leave the chat messages up longer, especially since I'm not always looking at the screen. So it must be evening for you, because it's afternoon for me. Yeah, it's very big. Almost unmanageably so sometimes, I feel like. So these, I'm gonna hit these two indented little sort of camera areas there with some red, I believe, enamel paint, and then clean that up, but I'm not gonna do that right now. So I'll grab a couple of these bigger parts in a second here when I get to them. But they started out almost entirely, all of them white. It was just too much white. So I'm pretty excited so far, having pulled the tape off of them not too long ago from the final bit of, or after the final bit of painting. I pulled the masking tape off, and they're so much more interesting looking now without all of just, you know, the huge amount of plain white. So lots of little color splashes and details all over these things now, which is, I think, going to look a lot better once it gets all put together. And especially on this part, a ton of panel lines. So make sure I don't miss any. All right, so I gotta say, I'm slightly concerned about how I'm going to hold on to this part to do the other side, the mirror side of all of these lines that I just did, without accidentally touching one of the lines that still is slightly wet. So I'll just have to be careful like that. Yep, that's gonna work. You'd let it dry. Yeah, but you know, I'm less patient than that, so. If I smear it around, I can always clean it up. And I think if I'm careful, I won't smear it around. I do tend to be a lot more careful and take my time more for select things, right? So like if I know it's something that it's not so easy to clean up, then I'm gonna be a lot more careful. But for something like this, I figure it'll dry and I can clean it up. And if I have to do a second pass to touch up a few places, I can do that, but I don't think I'll have to. All right, so what did I forget? Right there. Maybe that's it. Yeah. Huh. And after all that, this next piece just has the one tiny little panel line. So that seems easy. And then we've got these bigger ones that have a lot more stuff to do. Actually, I think this one is double-sided. Don't forget that little piece right there. Perfect. Little triangular area there. I'll probably paint that red, gray. There's going to be a lot of red around here because I believe that these vent things on the end of this tail part are mostly red, so maybe gray. Yeah, so that was messy, but it'll clean up just fine. The crazy thing about all of this that I'm trying not to think about, but every once in a while I remember, is that all of the work I've done so far on this kit has just been on all of these outer armor parts. So after I finish this, I still basically have an entire high-grade Gundam to paint. And I probably, because I'm going to display this thing with, I'm not going to display the, is it called the Odysseus Gundam inside by itself. I probably won't try to have as much detail on that as I did on these outer parts. But still, it's going to take some time to paint all that as well. Yeah, it's sitting like kind of up there on my shelf right now. The snap-built version of it is sitting there watching me while I work on all of these parts. This this version of the kit that I got was the double set that has all the effect parts as well as the Kasi Gundam, so that you can display them battling. And so eventually I will build that one and paint it up as well, but probably not right away. Actually, almost certainly not right away. So maybe someday behind me on the shelves back there, I will have these two guys on display in some sort of battle setup. So here's my custom 3D printed part, which came out quite nice actually. After I got it all painted up. So it's got those vents, and then it's got these wings, little fins that come out from the head area. Yeah, not bad. Those lines I built in there filled in nicely. Don't forget this little circular vent detail down here. There we go. I should have really taken some before photos of this thing when I had it all snap-built assembled, but I did not. So satisfying when with one touch of the pen you can get it to fill like an entire area like that. I did not see that. I think you shared it sometime recently, but I did not look at it. I will do that. You built the RG God Gundam, right, on a stream recently? Is that correct? And if so, how was the build? Because it's one that I have been wanting to get my hands on, but I haven't actually tried super hard to do that yet since I have so many other projects. Star G, huh? So the recent ones have been so good. Like when they stopped having the entire inner frame be that, that weird old style RG inner frame that's sort of pre-molded, and they went to just being more like a mini master grade. I really I've liked all of the RGs since that change for sure. And I think I've built them all except for the God Gundam. All those newer ones at least. I have there's a local Discord group that's for the area where I live. And it's run by, or was sort of set up by, somebody who works at one of the local hobby shops. And they have a channel in there where whenever they get new stock in, they post photos of the boxes. And so I think it was last week they posted a photo of a huge stack of RG God Gundams. But then later that day, someone posted that they had sold out already. And that was before I had a chance to drive over there and get one. It's even though it's kind of my local hobby shop, it's still about an hour away, so I don't go over there that often. But I heard they're supposed to be getting another shipment in, I believe, sometime in the next week or two. So maybe I'll get lucky and they'll have a shipment arrive on a day when I would be driving over that way anyway. Doesn't happen too often, but every once in a while that works out for me that way. Those little oblong pill-shaped details are weird. They appear in a lot of places on this kit. And my initial inclination was to fill them in, but instead I've changed my mind and I'm embracing it and just filling them in with black panel line fluid. So they're consistent everywhere they appear. Do I pay for my music? No. I signed up for a free service called Pretzel. If you search for, I think, Pretzel Rocks, you'll find it. And they provide royalty-free background music in a few different genres for streaming. And they have a paid tier as well, but the one I've been using so far is just the free one, and it's been fine. It's a bit limited. It doesn't offer quite as many different stations, genres, to choose from. And it seems like the free ones are always rotating. So every once in a while I have to switch away from one I had been using and go to a different one. But I've been happy with it so far. It's better to have something going in the background than just silence, for sure. Especially because if I start to concentrate too much, I get real quiet. Yeah, all right. See ya. That looks good. Springer is here. We've traded a miniaturite for a Springer, it appears. Happy Thursday afternoon. I think. I'm pretty sure. I've been super bad at time recently. Like, I can't remember what day it is. This week's been strange. Last couple weeks have been strange. I gotta say, I'm really enjoying working with these pieces now, especially because they're not just plain white anymore. They were quite boring before. So I don't remember what I did when I was working on the other sections of this build some of them I did almost a year ago now. I don't remember what process I followed, and I don't always do things the same way, so I'm pretty sure with these that once I got them panel lined, I assembled individual larger sections, and then I put decals on after they were assembled, and then I painted the flat top coat over the assembled sections. Pretty sure that's what I did this time on this kit, so I will probably do that with these. That's the plan, at least, is to get this panel lining done today so that hopefully I can assemble and do decals tomorrow, and then be done with this section of parts. I don't know what I did with still getting used to having rearranged all of my stuff. So I don't know where my... Here they are. My stuff for cleaning up these panel lines. Somewhere I have enamel thinner, but I don't know where. Ah, it's over there. So I used to use one of these little tools. I think it says Gaia Notes on it, so it must have been one of theirs. I think it's called a Finish Master or something like that. And it comes with these little replaceable rubberized spongy tips. And they work great for cleaning up panel lines. However, the little plastic thing started to bug me for a while, and after a while, and I saw online, I don't know who I saw doing this, but you can stick the little refill things onto the ends of toothpicks. And for me, that's actually a lot easier than using it with the plastic handle that it came with. So that's what I do these days, is just one of these on a toothpick. And just like that, cleans up super nicely. Yeah, I'm quite sure, I'm convinced. No one can convince me otherwise, I think, at this point, that the toothpick is the very most important tool in all of plastic modeling. I use it for so many different things. You can use it for cleaning things up, you can apply paint with it in very detailed areas. You can use it to press down tape when you're either masking or getting ready to draw panel lines. Very versatile, useful tool. Yeah, blue tack is pretty good too, yeah. Oh, hey, Springer, I think you tuned in after I picked this up last, but this is the final result of my 3D printed custom part. And actually, while I'm holding it, I'll just go ahead and clean the panel lines here because I think they look dry enough. It came out like really good. After it had a different feel to it when I started working with it after I took it off the printer, because a resin printed part is not the same as plastic. But once I got it primed and then painted with a couple of coats of paint, it feels and acts just like a regular, like I would expect a regular plastic part to act. So that's been a fun, good experiment, good thing to learn, is that I can print these parts and I can make them, end up looking and behaving enough like, the regular other parts, that it's not going to stand out or look different or have like a different texture or finish to it than the rest of the kit. So I gotta say I'm pretty pleased with that and how it turned out. Man, I applied a lot of panel line wash to this part. What was I thinking? Oh, that's right. You got a resin printer recently, right? Yeah, so you have both types. I can see where, the FDM printer is going to be a lot more useful. I don't have one, but I could see it being a lot more useful for big things like bases and such. Because all I can really do with mine that I currently have is small detail type parts, which is fine. That was the reason that I got it. I actually have used my printer for one thing that's not detail parts so far, and that is, well, I'll go get one and I'll show it to you. So this thing is about as big of a thing as I can print with my resin printer. And what it is there's a small handheld retro gaming device that I got a while back. Actually, my family got it for me as a gift. And I enjoyed it so much, but it's got an uncovered screen. So I designed this thing, it snaps over the top of it and covers and protects the screen. And it's got little holes here for the controls to fit out, just so that it fits on there nice and tight, but doesn't add a lot of extra bulk, so you can toss the thing in your pocket. So I actually put these on my Etsy store, and I've sold a ton of them. So I keep having to print more. But this thing, I print 3 of them standing kind of vertically on the build plate, and that's about all that will fit in my printer. Or that's kind of the biggest thing I can print, I guess. Yeah, so I was joking with a friend of mine that, like, I guess I should put product designer on my resume now, because I designed a thing and sold it. And the good thing is, you know, now that I've moved all of my equipment out here into this one space, there are some times where, so the printer is like right, you can see it on this, on my face cam, it's over there. So while I'm sitting out here working on stuff on my computer, or, you know, working on building like this, I can have that, I can have a print running, and I've got it with that acrylic enclosure and the fans going so that it doesn't produce a lot of toxic bad fumes. So I can't even really smell it at all while it's printing. But that way I can keep an eye on things while they're printing, and so I can get a lot more things printed, because they don't, like, previously they would print out in my garage and I would have to wait until I had a moment to go out and check on them to see, you know, that they were done, and then clean them off and whatever. If I'm sitting here in the room with them, I tend to get up and just go take care of that as soon as it's done printing, instead of waiting. So I get more printed that way. Yeah, so I completely skipped those 2 parts. That was smart. Let's get those taken care of real fast. This one needs an alligator clip so that I don't have to lay it down. The other one will as well. And looking over there just reminded me that I have about 5 more pieces that haven't had the masking tape taken off of them yet, because I just finished painting the last base color before I started this panel lining session. So I was waiting to let those dry before I take off the masking tape. But they probably need some lining as well. There's a bug flying around to my right. That's the big downside so far of the garage studio. At least the only one I've found so far is that I tend to have quite a few bugs in here from time to time. Kill it. So it's a very weird thing. I live in Florida, and here in Florida we have these things called love bugs. And I don't know if you've ever heard of them or not. Probably if you're not from Florida, you haven't. So they appear twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. And they are everywhere. The weird thing is they're attracted to the exhaust from automobiles. And so they congregate around like highways and stuff. And then you drive through them and they smash all up on the front of your car. And if you let them sit there, as their body decays, it will eat through the paint of your car. They're truly terrible little creatures. I'm not sure where they came from or what their story is, but yeah, like I said, they appear twice a year and we hate them terribly. And it was one of those that was flying around in here just now. I think they've been coming into the garage on our cars because we park our cars in the garage. And then I have this little room here that's like slightly separated off with a door. So they're in the garage, and then when I open the door to come in the studio, they follow me in here. Is I think what happens. Alright, so I'm super excited about how this piece came out. However, I just realized there's a couple spots here that I forgot to panel line, so let's see. I will put this in the special pile of more work to be done on these parts here. And that one, and not that one. Cool. Yeah, I've heard of those cicadas. My brother lived for a while somewhere that had that thing happen every 17 years. It was in Ohio, I think, so close-ish, I guess, to where you are. right, I just want to get one of these out. There we go. So I got to keep my eyes on the clock today. It's 2:30 here. I normally don't have like a hard stop, but today I do at about 2:45. So however far I've gotten, that will be the ending point. And then however far that is, I will definitely try to make the time later on this evening to finish up cleaning up these parts, because I really do want to be able tomorrow morning on the normally scheduled Friday morning stream to be able to assemble these parts and then figure out where I want to put decals on them. So in order to get that, or to be ready for that, I need to have these all cleaned up and ready to go. And probably a few little other enamel detail bits painted on them as well. I'll try to do that tonight, if I can find or make the time. Oh yeah, I was gonna look. Yeah, that doesn't need a line. Okay, cool. Just found 2 more lines that I missed on this part. All the rest of it looks good though, so we'll put that one there. Yeah, I mean, with panel lining, I don't mind it too much because it's like, you know, it's not a mistake you can't fix. However, if you miss cleaning up a panel line somewhere and you've got a little spot of, you know, black or some other color of, you know, panel line paint coming out of the line or something like that, and you don't notice it until later on, like especially if you've already top coated, or sometimes I notice it when I'm in the process of spraying the top coat. I'm like, oh, I missed this spot. And then you have to stop. You either have to not worry about it and just top coat over it and hope no one notices, or you have to stop what you're doing and go back and clean it all up. That's the worst. It's weird. I felt like I'd already done this part, but it's like the opposite. The underside part of the like bird head looks a lot the same. Yeah, this piece is also looking like it wants to have a couple of little details hand painted. So it also goes in this little pile here, things to do. Actually, probably this part has some things that I want to do by hand as well. So maybe tomorrow, instead of that stream being assembly and decals, maybe that stream will be hand painting some details. We'll see. I don't have a lot of confidence that I'll be able to have enough time later today to do all of these things. There's time if I don't sleep. It is true. However, then I'd be grumpy and, you know, nobody wants that, probably. That was weird. What did I do there? I made a huge mess. All right, clean that up. Alright, so there is the pile of if I have time later. I will do some extra painting and touch up on those parts. And then over here to my left, I have just a few more parts that have masking tape on them that needs to come off. And I don't remember what is under this tape, but I assume that there will be lines that need to be panel lined as well. Oh yeah, for sure on this part. One needs panel lines. This one also will because it's the mirror of that same part. What's that? Oh yeah, there's this one part that has this little blemish in the very first base coat, and I keep seeing it. It bugs me every time I see it, but I'm not, I don't care enough to go back and sand and redo the whole part, so I'm not going to. So a little bit of, tiny bit of red down inside of that thruster. Same with this one, and these guys don't need any panel lining or anything, so they're finished. Nice, and then, oh right. This was just sitting there because I didn't want to lay it down on the table. I have the panel line fluid come out on the table. So that one's done. This piece is definitely going to need some panel lining as well. Probably some detail painting on the underside here. This is another spot where I designed a 3D printed part to fill in the underside of these two little vent areas was completely hollow, and that was annoying to me, so I fixed it. Yep, so that one goes there. These two just need cleanup and they will be finished. Just realized I hadn't looked outside to see if it's raining. I don't think it is. The reason for my hard stop today is that I usually in the afternoons walk and meet my son who's walking home from school. And if it's raining, I have to leave a little bit earlier because I have to drive in the car instead and pick him up so that he doesn't have to walk in the rain. But today it looks okay outside. Yeah, it's nice, right, to be able to go and walk with him home from school because, like, we get exercise, but also I get to chat with him about how his day was and all that kind of stuff too, so I enjoy it. It's good. All right, and one last part. So this is the little cockpit piece. The clear piece that goes on the sort of the front of the cockpit area of the bird head. And I painted it with the same clear, I called it clear lime green. It was a special color that I mixed for my candy coated Zaku that I did last year. So it's a yellow, clear yellow and clear green mixed together, but it's a kind of a lime green. I still had a little bit left in that bottle, so I decided to use that color. I'll use it also for the eyes. When I get to that part of the building the head of the Gundam as well. All right, and that will probably do it now. I've got some cleanup to do on this small pile of parts, well, small-ish pile of parts that's in front of me right here. I'll try to do that later, like I said, so that I can do some assembly and decals, water slides tomorrow on these parts. So, yeah. That'll do it for today. Thanks for stopping by. I will catch you guys next time.